Welcome back to Broken Electronics. My name's Lee, and it's wonderful that we can spend some time here together today. Today, I am going to be dealing some with my late 2005 single CPU dual core 2.3 gigahertz Power Mac G5. No, I'm not putting anything more in it. I, off the top of my head, can't really think of anything else to put in it that would actually work. But there are some things I'm going to do. More than anything, this is kind of a wrap-up about the machine, which obviously I've been doing a lot with recently. So just to go back and what I have done with the machine, I did upgrade the RAM to 16 gigabytes. Now, that's a healthy amount of RAM even today on machines. In late 2005, it was absolutely enormous to the point that people wondered, what are we going to do with this kind of RAM? And it's true, Leopard, which is the maximum version of macOS that this machine can run, runs quite happily on 2 gigahertz. My iMac G5, which I love and which I use on a very regular basis, has 2 gigabytes of RAM and runs Leopard very, very, very well. My side table there is my Power Mac G4 Quicksilver, which I upgraded to a dual 1 gigahertz dual processor 1 gigahertz G4. It has 1.5 gigabytes of RAM and runs Leopard very, very, very well. So, yeah, but I think that RAM is good. To have the maximum amount of RAM you can have in a machine is often a good idea. And ongoing, I think it'll be that much more helpful. Now, the other things that we've done, the USB 3, which was a flyer, it probably never was going to work, and it didn't. Okay, but that did lead to, first of all, the FireWire 800 PCIe card, which is in there, which works extremely well. Actually seems to be delivering a little bit faster speeds than the built-in FireWire 800, which I found a little surprising. And really fascinating, the eSATA PCIe card, which has been delivering exceptional speeds. And shout out again to XTechDK, who suggested that. And he also suggested the Bluray Drive, which I put in. We're going to take a little bit more of a look at that. And no, I don't have any Blu-ray discs yet. I will, we're going to make some use out of that, certainly. Now, one of the last things I did when I put the Blu-ray drive in was making use of the FireWire 800 port, the internal port that was on that PCIe card. So we currently have 3 drives in the machine, a total of 2.5 terabytes of storage space, which again, for this era machine, is immense. I've been making some use out of it, to be sure. Now, right now, those 3 drives in there, we have a total of 6 partitions. And I think that probably needs to be reworked a little bit, but we're going to take a look at that when we actually take a look at what's going on with the machine. Now, let it speak for itself some. No need to open it up. We're going to go right to the desktop. So, I hope you will find this interesting in this little bit of a wrap-up that's going to go on here. And if you are, please stay tuned. Okay, this is about the best I'm going to be able to do at getting the screen centered and focused. It's always a challenge here. The one big regret is I have not been able to find a functional screen recording device or software for Leopard. But anyhow, we make do. All right. As we always must about this Mac, I think it's a YouTube Retro Tech law. So we've got our dual 2.3 gigahertz, and as I keep pointing out, that is one dual core CPU, PowerPC G5, with the 16 gigabytes of DDR2 RAM. And we have disk burning. We do have our Plextor Bluray drive in there. We'll be looking at that more in just a second. Firewire shows us the unknown device on the Go Pro. Now that on the Go Pro is the Firewire drive that I added in internally. And then the unknown device on the Firewire 400, I'm not really sure what's going on there. Okay, graphics and displays, so we can see our NVIDIA Quadro FX 4500 with the 512 megabytes of video RAM. I think we're really in a good place with that. PCI cards, PCI Express actually. These are the 2 gigabit Ethernet ports that are on the machine. They do read as being on the PCIe bus, which I assume they are. Firewire. That's exactly what we've got that one card in there. And then PCI bridge on slot 4. Which I believe would be the Firewire card again. Yes, it has to be, because here we have slot 3, which is the eSATA card, and then the Quadro. Oh, okay, I think we've looked at that enough. I think next thing is going to be the Bluray drive. What we've done up to now, basically we've just ascertained that the drive shows up. We haven't really found that it actually works. So let's first of all, I'm going to hit the button. All right, the tray opens. That's a good sign. Now, as I pointed out, I don't currently have any Blu-ray discs. I am going to get some at some point, although I don't think there's a hurry on that. So what I'm going to use here is the macOS 10 Leopard install disc. This is a dual layer DVD, and I think it's pretty fair for us to think, let me get that into the tray there. I think it's reasonable to think that if it shows up and reads, the laser works, and it's going to be able to deal with the Blu-ray discs, assuming it shows up and reads. And there we are. We see our icon on the desktop, macOS 10 install DVD, and here we have everything we need to know. Okay, we're good. Now, we're not going to install macOS 10 Leopard because we already have. So, we'll take that back out of the drive and close it up. Good to see that that's working. All right, now the other icons that you see here in the desktop, Extreme Data, that's an Airport Extreme time capsule. That's my main router. It also functions as my network file server, and it's been very handy. I originally had been using an older time capsule, one of the flat ones, as the file server, but it's slow. I mean, the Airport Extreme, the newest version of it, that sadly discontinued thing, does support up to uh, wireless AC, which is very good. And I use here a hardwired connection to an airport extreme base station, so we're getting full benefit of that. I do not need this on the desktop, so we'll just eject that. Maybe. There we go. Okay. Now, a little comment. The Mercury Elite Aluminum Pro. That's my 2 terabyte backup drive, the one that I so brilliantly erased. Which brings up something I wanted to comment on. I wasn't horribly disturbed at that. All I needed to do was to make another backup, and then everything's backed up again. What the heck? However, the last time I did a backup from scratch using that drive, it was connected via FireWire 800. And I basically had to let it go all overnight. Now, I woke up the next morning. It was, in fact, done. I don't know for sure exactly how long it took, but it was at the very least about 6 hours, and probably somewhat more than that. It's now connected via one of the 2 eSATA ports, and when I did a complete from scratch backup with nearly 300 gigabytes of data, it took a little over 2 hours. So I think it's fair to say that the eSATA performed that backup in about 1/3 the amount of time that FireWire did. Okay, so let's have a look in Disk Utilities, shall we? All right, now, right now, I have, we can ignore that because I am not going to get rid of that. We have one of the original hard drives that was in there, and that hard drive right now has got the Snow Leopard installation on it, as well as a partition for data. So that's 2 partitions. The FireWire data is the internal FireWire. That's a 1 terabyte drive. Currently 1 partition, and it's blank. There's nothing on it. Whereas connected via SATA, we have a 1 terabyte drive divided into 3 partitions, which has Tiger, Leopard, and then a data partition. So what I'm going to do, my plan basically is to transfer the Tiger installation, which is used relatively quite infrequently. In fact, I never boot into Tiger, but I want it to be available. And the Snow Leopard installation. The reason I'm doing that with the Tiger is simply to get it off this drive so that I can make better use of the SATA attached drive. And with Snow Leopard, part of my concern here is this 500 gigabyte drive is an old drive. I believe I don't know whether it came with this Power Mac G5 or a different Power Mac G5, but it came with a Power Mac G5. So, just from the standpoint, I suppose it could conceivably fail at any time. So, I'm going to put Tiger and Snow Leopard via cloning onto FireWire data here. So I'm going to prepare that by partitioning the drive. Give me a second. My notes and what I had in mind. I know exactly what I have in mind. I did make some notes about how that stinks. Oh, recently hit. Okay. Alright, we'll leave it here for now. Yes, to put 3 partitions, to put an 80 gigabyte partition for Tiger, a 70 gigabyte for Snow Leopard. Snow Leopard takes up quite a bit of space, so it's currently on a 60 gigabyte partition. I'm not likely to put a whole lot more on there, but so yes, we are gonna do our partitioning. Partition scheme will be 3 partitions. Partition 1. Now, what did I say for this 80? Which actually is plenty. Okay. And we'll give it the name of Tiger FW, just so I know at a glance where it is. Now, the second partition. I can't do it that way. That's okay. I certainly don't want it to be 561 gigabytes. I believe I said 70. That makes sense. And that will be Snow Leopard Firewire. Okay. And then that leaves a little over 800 gigabytes just as a data, which we will call data FW. All right. This is making sense. Let's do it. Partition. Okay, and we're just waiting for Tiger now. All right, there we go. So that's all we need to do with disk utility at this point. Go into applications and carbon copy cloner. All right, so first thing we're going to do is to take the Tiger. So let's select Tiger SSD and then the destination, Tiger Firewire. All right. Now, I do have to get a timer for this. All right. Now, one of the things I'm curious about here, although this should be actually pretty straightforward, it usually takes about 40 minutes. Tiger is a lighter operating system than Leopard, certainly. So let's just hit clone. There we go. Shoot. Pardon me, I gotta reach around the tripod. All right, so I'm not going to make you sit through this entire thing. We will be back when this is completed. Stay tuned. All right, I guess I didn't actually have to run the timer because, look, here we are. It took, data copied was 19.79 gigabytes, and the time elapsed was 21 minutes 4 seconds. All right, and that's roughly what it's always been going to a FireWire drive. All right, so let's now Snow Leopard HDD to Snow Leopard FW. We're going to try the same thing again. And I guess since I had just authenticated, I won't need to do that. Now, I am suspecting that this is going to take longer just because Snow Leopard is quite a bit heavier than Tiger, even though that Tiger installation also has a complete OS 9 to run under Classic. So anyhow, we're going to let this run, and we'll be back once it's done. So please stay tuned. Well, okay, the backup task has completed 3518, which is, I was expecting over 40. So yeah, clearly quite a bit longer than for Tiger, which was expected. We can close out a carbon copy cloner. All right, now, just to get an idea of what's coming up next, you go into System Preferences, look at Startup Disk. Okay, so Leopard, Snow Leopard on the FireWire, Snow Leopard on the hard drive, Tiger on the FireWire, Tiger on the SATA SSD. Now, just because this indicates that they're options doesn't necessarily mean they're going to boot successfully. So what I'm going to be doing, and this will happen off camera, is to ascertain that I can boot into both of those OSs, at which point I will format the hard drive. It's going to go into one partition just as extra. There is some data here on that. I'll temporarily move that off, do the formatting, and then put it back. Now, I had originally planned on taking the Tiger partition and splitting it, make the Leopard partition a little bigger and make the data partition a little bigger. I'm going to leave it alone, first of all, because I'm lazy. Secondly, I just want to ensure that that drive is there. I mean, laziness, because I'd have to like clone the OS off the drive, reformat, repartition, and clone it back on. I don't want to take that time. But it conceivably, I may have a future project on this machine that will involve that partition. So, as I said, I'm going to do that off camera. My intention, I think it will be to close the video now. If something goes wrong, I may have to come back with an addendum and make that clear to everybody. But yeah, so we'll end up with actually 7 partitions on the 3 drives, plus the backup drive, and all of that will take place. It'll be just fine. So we're going to assume that that's going to work successfully. So for the moment, be good to other people. They deserve it, and we really need to try to make this a better world. Be good to yourselves so you're best able to enjoy this better world we're trying so hard to make. And it really isn't right now. So please take very, very good and careful care in these most difficult times. We're going to be right back with you with more videos real soon. So until that time, this has been Broken Electronics. And here's the addendum that you all had to know was coming. Tiger worked fine. Yeah, that cloning was no problem. I tried booting into Snow Leopard on the FireWire drive, and it kernel panicked. I then tried booting into it on the original spinning hard drive, and it kernel panicked. It occurs to me I'm pretty sure I have booted it into Snow Leopard on this machine because it was originally that machine on the side there where I installed it. I begin to think that Snow Leopard just isn't going to be compatible with one of the upgrades that I made. I'm leaning towards the NVIDIA graphics card, although that's a pure guess. Nonetheless, at this point, it's not that big a deal. I don't boot into Snow Leopard that much. I have Snow Leopard working on my PowerBook G4. I'll probably reinstall it on this machine. There you go. So I've got Leopard, Tiger, OS 9 via Classic. Maybe another trick coming, and I promise you, regardless, there's more G5 goodness to come. So, having already said my thing that I usually say, it comes down to let's all just be good people and care about each other. So, to say this one again, this has been Broken Electronics.